Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today TV. I'm Sakshi Patra and the focus on this show will be on the Q2 earnings. Now, Bengaluru-based bio-pharma company Biocon Biologics has announced its consolidated financial results for the second quarter, which ended on September 30th. Now, while the Q2 FY23 revenue was seen at 2384 crores, recording a growth of 26%, the core EBITDA was also up by 34% to record at 816 crore rupees. Now, to share key insights, the numbers and the outlook going forward from here, I'm now joined by the top management of the company. Shri Hastambe joins in, Deputy CEO, Biocon Biologics, to discuss these earnings fine print. Welcome, sir, and thank you so much for taking the time out. Well, it has turned out to be a good quarter for you. Now, despite the sharp jump that we've seen in R&D spends, you've actually been able to register good growth on the top line as well as on the core EBITDA front. Could you take us through the key drivers of growth in this quarter?
Thank you, Sakshi, for having me on your show. And yes, we've had a good quarter in the Biocon Biologics, and we've registered a year-on-year growth of 34%. The growth was largely driven by our increased market share in the US for our assembly insulin glargine. So we've seen a strong demand and an uptick for our insulin glargine in the US. Our businesses in emerging markets also have grown. But it's mostly growth that's been driven by adalimumab in Europe and glargine in the US. That's really gotten us this higher trajectory in terms of the revenue numbers. And on the core EBITDA, our performance continues to remain strong, where we continue to be at that mid to high 30s. In fact, in this quarter, we've gone to 46%, which is higher than the previous quarter of 42% core EBITDA. Largely driven by one-off benefits or gains from forex, from the rupee depreciation, and also from the PLI incentive schemes that we've benefited from the government of India.
Okay. Also, like you pointed out, the margins have improved to 35% in this quarter. Help us understand, are these sustainable? Do you really see them inching further from these levels as well going forward?
What we see is that the core business continues to remain strong. So we see our core EBITDA margins continue to trend in that mid to high 30s, which is what we've guided from the beginning. We've seen a few quarters where it's been above 40%, and in this quarter at 46, like I just said, and largely because of the one-off gains, the currency can move either way. But largely speaking, the core fundamentals of the business continue to remain strong, and a mid to high 30s core EBITDA is par for the course.
Right. Also, Mr. Tambe, if you could help us understand how soon do you really expect the Viatris transaction to close, since that's a key, and how will Viatris Global really contribute to the future biosimilars portfolio of yours?
The Viatris transaction that we announced earlier this year is in that stage where we will be closing shortly. So we're looking at somewhere around this quarter where we should be closing that transaction. And the moment we close that acquisition, we will see the economic benefit accrue to Biocon Biologics from that point onward. So we will see the Biocon Biologics P&L continue to immediately grow the moment we close that transaction section.
Okay. So, could you also help us understand how the strategic vaccine alliance with Serum Institute is adding to the overall business growth for you, and which vaccines can we really expect under this alliance going forward?
The Serum Institute of India, the Serum SILS that we've partnered with, we have an access to over 100 million doses annually, and we have an assured access to this manufacturing capacity. And also top line and profits that come associated with that. So clearly, it's a very strong assured revenue going forward for Biocon Biologics. Allows us an entry into the anti-infectives or communicable diseases space, because most of our biosimilars portfolio is in the non-communicable space. So clearly allows us that adjacency beyond our biosimilars portfolio in an asset-light model, because we continue to leverage Serum Institute's massive capacity and have access to all the products and vaccines that SILS would be developing. And that really allows us a very large play than what we would have otherwise had in an organic environment.
Absolutely. Now, there's something else also that the street has been looking forward to understanding from the company. Are you looking to separately list the biologics business going forward? Can we expect an IPO anytime soon?
Well, we have said that there will be an IPO at some point in the future, and it certainly will be in that 12 to 24 months time period. And given that we're in the middle of a major acquisition at this point, once we have passed this, that time frame kind of remains at this stage.
Okay. Any other fundraise plans for expansions going forward that we can expect from the company?
Well, there's continues to be interest in the Biocon Biologics story. There are several investors who are keen in being a part of this exciting phase that we are in at this point, and we will be looking to see the strategic overlap when we look at bringing more private equity partners into the organization.
There's one more concern that I wanted your thoughts on. We remember that the company received some observations across the production facilities in India and Malaysia from US FDA back in September. Remember that the regulator has also issued 483S along with 11 observations each for 2 Bengaluru sites and 6 observations for the Malaysian facility. Could you share with us an update on this, by when these issues are expected to be resolved?
Yeah. So we had the inspection, almost 50 inspector days over 7 different facilities, 2 different locations for 3 new products, which were the pre-approval inspections and a new facility inspection. So it was a very large inspection that the FDA conducted. Just to remind you and your audience that these facilities have previously been inspected by the European authorities and have been approved. So the FDA did inspect us, and for the Malaysia facility, we have received a CRL, which basically they've said they want us to complete the observations that they made during the inspection and have a conversation with them. We have requested that dialogue, and once we have that dialogue, we should have clarity on the approval timelines. Clearly, it's a matter of when rather than if. And in terms of the India inspections that we had, post the inspection, we have responded to all the observations with a very comprehensive CAPA, which is a corrective and preventive action list. Post that, we are waiting for the agency to come back to us on what they believe is the outcome. We of course remain hopeful of the approval this year.
Okay, understood that. We will be looking forward to those updates as well. But final question to you, overall, how is the business really looking to shape up in the second half of this financial year? And what is the growth outlook that you could share with all our viewers from the biologic space?
Biocon Biologics is at that inflection point. Clearly, the acquisition sets Biocon Biologics up in a very, very different way. At that threshold where we would be looking to become a global leader in the biosimilar space. The second half looks particularly exciting as the economic benefits accrue almost immediately, both from our Serum acquisition as well as from our Viatris acquisition of the biosimilars portfolio. So clearly an uptick from the numbers that we've seen in the past. So it will be a breakaway from the current thresholds that we've got to a new level. And because the base business continues to be so exciting with no new products on the anvil and access to the first to file Eylea asset, which also a biosimilar Eylea asset, which we will acquire as a part of this deal with Viatris, I think the future is extremely exciting, and really looking forward to sharing that as we go forward.
Okay, we'll await for those details also from you. Thank you very much for being with us and sharing all these earnings fine print with all our viewers. All the very best to you for the coming quarters, and hope to catch up very soon with you to understand more about the business outlook going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, we wrap up this edition on Business Today TV. You heard the management of Biocon Biologics talking about being optimistic on the business outlook going forward from here. Also, an update on the observations made by US FDA for some of its facilities and how that is going to shape up going forward. The strategic alliance with Serum Institute of India, and also the other alliances as well, and how are they going to be contributing to the business going forward from here. With that, we wrap up this edition. Many thanks for tuning in for now.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.